Michael eats a slice of bread. Jet Reno likes black licorice. And Georgiou tells Cirroc all about Cirroc. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Very nice. Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we are doing a review of Discovery Season 3, Episode 10, Terra Firma Part 2, directed by Chloe Domont. Very special guest today. We are joined by Mr. J.R. POOLE, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Yeah, the very great one.
How's everybody doing today? Good?
Yes.
Doing good, yeah.
Great. You guys missed it. We were talking about snow for about 10 to 20 minutes before recording here. And we had to cut the snow chatter. But as I'm reminded, they just reminded me that there was actually snow in this episode. So let's keep talking about it. What do you guys think? Was it real snow or was it paper snow?
Both.
I don't know. You think both?
At some point,
I think they were
was,
on location. Yeah.
Yeah, there was snow on Martin Green, but it didn't melt.
Well, if it didn't melt, then that's a hint there.
I thought it was real snow. I thought they were on location somewhere, but I guess they could pull that off too. This is Hollywood. But Ryan, you were right, because last week when we were reviewing part 1 of this episode, we speculated about who Carl was, and I just
Carl Winslow, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, and the matters of the family. But no, you were right. You predicted that you thought he would be the Guardian of Forever, and I was surprised.
A lot of people were thinking that. Some people were saying Q, but there were some hints about the Guardian of Forever, and some people really zoomed in on the newspaper. And then other people thought it could just be, an infinite number of new aliens, of course. Before we get too deep into this, though, let's very quickly give a shout out to Virtual TrekCon's 12 days of content. That's going to be from December 23rd to January 3rd. It's going to be 12 days of content. It's a mix of old stuff, some new stuff, everything's going to be live and interactive. We're going to have some panels, lots of fun discussions. So for the entirety of the holiday season, nobody's alone. You have things to do. You have people to talk to. You've got human interaction. So please check it out. That's virtualtrekcon.com or Virtual TrekCon in any social media site. And, if you have to stay home, if you got to be alone, come hang out with a few hundred or few thousand fellow Star Trek fans. Lots of positivity and fun. Moving on, let's also remember to go to patreon.com/the seventh rule. So what were we talking about anyway? Oh yeah.
Guardian.
Yeah. The Guardian of the Galaxy. So JR, did you guess that it was the Guardian of Forever before we watched it?
Absolutely not. I was hoping for the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Low percentage. He's a gambling man.
Right.
Little cross promotions there.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool the way he kind of said, I am the Guardian of Forever, or whatever he said. And, there was kind of the booming thing. And they also updated now Cirroc in the original series, they had that thing behind him, that rock, that, kind of circular rock. They had that, but obviously they updated it, this for the new show. So it was much better, but it was still in the exact same shape as the original one. So they kept it true to form in that regard. And I think the original one, they didn't have like special effects swirling around like that, did they?
Not that I can remember, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Yeah, I kind of need a little bit of background information about what the Guardian or who the Guardian is. Like, what is exactly? He's just a space and time portal guy.
Yeah, it was like computer generator or something. Is that right, JR? You're our resident TOS expert today.
Oh, just today. I was like, "Where's TJ?" Um,
Man, TJ knows everything.
right. I just know that it was a portal. I remember seeing the episode. Um, is that the one where Kirk goes in and that woman get hit by a car?
I don't know. It's the one where Kirk and Spock jump in together.
Whee! Yeah.
All the original series fans are so pissed right now that collectively, for the three of us combined, we have a vague knowledge of what the Guardian of Forever is. But basically, yeah, I can put you, basically what you saw in this episode is the backstory that you need. That's what his special powers are. It's like a computer or something. Oh, our buddy Don Crandall, who always shows up to give us information, says that this one was a little bit more AI, like a little bit more artificial intelligence, whereas the other one was more of a rigid program, more like computeristic kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the extent of it. The main point of it was that he transported Philippa back to, she's going to go to a different time now, right? Because he said back to where when the universes were better aligned or better lined up or something like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think that means before there was some kind of, mirror universe divergence or where they connected, which would be, as far as we know, at or before Enterprise. I don't think they're going to, because Enterprise had mirror universe episodes, or at least they had the one.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to do that, though. I think that if they went, by the letter of his word, then they'd be like, well, I guess we're going to Enterprise. But I don't think so. What do you guys think? You think they're just going to go back to the original Discovery era?
Yeah, I think they're going back to the original Discovery era or thereabouts, wherever they can let Section 31 take place, because obviously we know that that's coming around the corner. So, I'm figuring someone. Oh, somebody's Section 31 over here. You got to.
Oh yeah, let's hang on. There it is.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, we don't speak about certain things there.
Rule number 1 of Section 31.
Right. Only speak of Section 31 once.
All right.
Yeah, and if they go back to the timeline or the era of Discovery season 1 and 2, then they can have all the cameos from, like, they can have a Pike cameo, they can have L'Rell and others, and Ash Tyler is going to be in the series, so they're probably just going to go back to that time, is what I would guess.
One video, Cirroc said that what's cool about Star Trek is it can reference itself, and wherever Georgiou goes, I don't know. I don't like to speculate too much, but I just think that it's going to be really cool. Wherever she's going to go, whatever's going to happen, because you'd have the Enterprise episodes that had Section 31 in it, and they had the mirror universe. So there's a lot of places story can fit in between Enterprise and the original science, or those old sciences.
Do you guys think that this is the last we're going to see of Georgiou in Discovery? Do you think that's it? Her storyline's over in this series.
I thought about that, and then the answer for me was no. After I was watching this episode, there was a moment where I think Saru says to Michael, "Are we ever going to see her again?" or something like that, and she's like, "No, she's gone forever," or something to that extent. But and then when I heard that, I was like, "No, they are going to bring her back at some point. At some point, some version of her will pop up in this Discovery episode. Some version, I don't know, hologram, or because she has a lot of information, and I feel like at some point that information may become critical to what's happening in Discovery. And I also think that when she goes back in time, she's going to do something to alter or affect whatever's happening in Discovery. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I feel like she'll be popping up again.
What do you think, JR?
I may have to agree with that. if they get 7 seasons with the other shows, and we're only on season 3, so we don't know what they could do. I think she's a popular character. If she comes back, it'd be nice to see. Like, we might see Lorca in the next episode or 2. There's a lot of story there. So let's hope she does come back.
I think that if the series only goes 4 or maybe 5 seasons, I think we're done with Philippa. Maybe if it goes 6 or 7, then anything can happen. Like Section 31 could be just 2 seasons, and then she's free to work back on the show in season 7 or something like that. Or she might join in. They're probably, if they're shooting in Toronto, like they do, if both shows are shooting in Toronto, then obviously that could certainly make it easier for her to just pop in on one, and they just schedule her to work the different show. But I think that if there are only 1 or 2 seasons left, I think that we won't see her again. That's my guess. But 7 seasons, who knows?
They did kind of give her that send off. Everyone raised the glass to not seeing her anymore.
Yeah. So everybody that's watching in the live chat, comment what you think. Do you think we are going to see her again? And if so, do you think it's going to be like she's just going to be popping in a few times or just once? Or do you think it's dependent on how many seasons there are? Like I was saying, what do you think? Educate us. Also, something that I found very interesting, and maybe others don't, was at the beginning of the episode, when, who was it? I think it was Michael. She said the Romulans, Andorians, Tellarites, and Klingons are forming an alliance to destroy the Terrans called the Coalition. And the Denobulans and the Rigelians and the Caridonites will follow. And my little nerd heart gets all like excited. I start like picturing what that would look like, like Romulans, Andorians, Tellarites, and Klingons is like a new Federation kind of thing, like the Coalition, and then secondary race of Denobulans and others. I mean, Terrans are pretty powerful if it would take all those guys to take them down. What do you guys think of that? Did you get excited about that, or is that just me being a nerd?
I did. Especially when I saw Denobulans. I say saw it because the closed captioning was on. But then it made you think about Deep Space Nine, of how they got to that point. It's also fascinating because the Terrans are so powerful, but then they're not later. So somebody messed something up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they need to come up with a better name than the Coalition. That's just not original enough for me. Those guys getting together, they got to.
Where's your tie? Where's your tie, Cirroc? You need your nitpick tie on for that.
The Coalition? That's a boring name. Seriously. Where's Tilly when you need her for coming up with new names,
The Space Jam.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Death Core 9 or Death, something ridiculous. But no, I thought it was interesting when they talked about the Klingons and the Romulans getting together to for the first time to do that. But it did make me think about how big Terra was and how big their, place in the universe was, that it took so many people to get together to take them out. But I'm still interested in seeing who this character is that they keep talking about, this guy that we haven't seen. What's his name?
Comes. Oh, his?
Lorca.
Oh. Yeah, he was season 1, Cirroc.
Okay, so we have seen him.
Yeah, Jason Isaacs. Mm-hmm. So we probably won't see him. They were just referencing a previous character. He was the captain for the entire first season. I don't want to give you any spoilers.
Okay,
but
don't do it. Please don't do it.
But yeah, in the Prime universe, he was the captain of the Discovery for season 1. And in the mirror universe, he was kind of at odds with Georgiou, as you could see. So a lot of people were hoping that we would see Jason Isaacs come back to reprise his role. Looks like that's not going to happen. It looks like they've closed up the mirror universe storyline for this season. I don't know. What do you think, JR?
Yeah, when she came back, I thought, well, there goes that. No Lorca.
Right.
Though we just don't know what became of him in the Prime universe.
That's right. So we can still see him.
So you mentioned how big the Terran Empire is. That's Georgiou's whole name. When you think about it.
She got a long name.
Okay, yeah. The Genghis Khan reference that they made.
She called it Genghis Khan, and I'm like, have I been pronouncing it wrong this whole time? Did they? Is it called?
I thought Genghis.
Yeah, but she said Genghis Khan, and she
did.
Yeah, she said Genghis Khan. Unless I heard it wrong, and I was like, shoot. I mean, I would guess that she might have a better understanding of how to pronounce that name than I would. So maybe it is Genghis Khan.
Yeah, he was on that side of the world.
That's right.
But one of the things that was interesting about Genghis Khan and that they referenced in this episode was that when he conquered people, he would give them the option to essentially keep their own culture and their own tradition as long as they just bowed down and admitted that Genghis Khan is the ruler. They could keep their own religion. And that's something that was uncommon at the time, still uncommon essentially when people colonize and take over other people's countries. They usually impose their religious beliefs. They impose their entire financial system and everything. But Genghis Khan was a pioneer in that way of letting people continue to have their beliefs. I thought that was pretty interesting reference.
He was a sweetie.
Yeah, really nice guy.
But speaking of Genghis Khan and Genghis Khan, we've got a graphic designer here by the name of J.R. Poole. Is it GIF or GIF? I know.
GIF.
I know. GIF.
Yeah.
What do you say, Cirroc? GIF or GIF?
If we're talking about the peanut butter, it would be GIF.
Wonderful. I can understand why people say GIF though, because it's graphic. It's an acronym. It comes from the word graphic, right? It's a hard G. But most people just pronounce it GIF. I pronounce it GIF, but maybe it should be called GIF.
Well, yeah, if you're following some type of rules, it would be GIF.
Which this language never does.
Nope.
I did want to finish touching on this coalition that has the name that Cirroc hates so much. But out of Romulans, Andorians, Tellarites, and Klingons, who's the leader? Because one of them is going to be a leader. Klingons and Romulans don't share. What do you guys think is the boss out of that?
Throwing a dart, I would say Andorians.
Well,
that's because I'm sorry. What's his name? Jeffrey Combs' character was at least willing to work with Archer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're right. In Deep Space Nine, so that's about 100 years beyond where they are in the mirror universe, where they went back to the mirror universe. We know that the people that are running the show are an alliance between the Cardassians and the Klingons, right, and the Bajorans. So maybe this was kind of the beginning of that alliance 100 years prior, if I remember correctly. Remember, Cirroc, we just reviewed that one not too long ago, but it was the Klingons, Cardassians, and Bajorans kind of running the show. And at that point, the Terrans were their slaves and were the people at the bottom of the rungs there.
Right. But in answer to your question, I think the Romulans would probably be the ones in charge of that little coalition. That's my guess. Because they have a balance of aggressiveness, and they also have intelligence, and so I think that balance is what would make them kind of rise to the top in their leadership position.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, no, I think that works too. Romulans. I will say this, and maybe I'm the only one who noticed this, but there was a moment where the most blatant ADR I've ever heard, I had to listen to it like 5 times. It was so bad. For those of you listening in, ADR is when they go back after a scene was shot or after the episode was shot, and they go into a booth and they just talk into it, and they go and they try to say their line again to make it match up perfectly. And you can understand why, is because they were probably doing ADR remotely. So they had the character, I don't want to call this character out, but they had the character probably just like recording the line on a cell phone and then texting it to him or something like that. But anyway, I will say that it was at 19 minutes and 28 seconds. That's all I'll say. That's what, if you listen.
Well, which character?
All right, you beat it out of me. It was Georgiou, and it was in the dinner scene, and like the entire tone and timbre of the voice, the vocals was totally different, and the level too. It wasn't even like really level. I mean, it was just like it was aggressive, you know, how stark the contrast was. They're having conversation like that and this and that, and then she goes like this, and they're like talking like, oh, and what do you think of this? Oh, and what do you think of that? And then it goes, like mother, like daughter. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? Like, is she in my head? It was, you know, it's like ADR. Now, of course, they had the camera facing Michael because, you know, you do that so that you don't see what she's saying, so that she doesn't have to match it up exactly. Or maybe it was just a line that they added completely that wasn't there. They changed it.
Yeah.
But either way, you know, this is, to me, I chalk that up as something that's directly related to the coronavirus. I feel like that is something where they're like, sorry, this is the best we can do. And the editors and director will forever remember that moment that they had to do ADR from 3,000 miles away, you know, and it's imperfect. But out of 3 people, I'm the only one to notice. So maybe that means it wasn't that bad.
Or you're just that good.
You are that good.
I don't know. You guys should 1928. You should check. I don't think it was.
1 second. As graphic designer things go, the opening credits, you guys noticed that it was darker and upside down?
Yeah, I think the color was inverted, like a reverse negative or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like on a different axis or something, but I had to watch it like twice to really understand what was going on.
Enterprise did a mirror universe too.
Okay.
What? Say that again?
Enterprise, they did a mirror universe opening credits as well.
That was the best. So good.
Yeah.
So good. Cirroc, when we review Enterprise in 2028, you'll see that. It's really good.
No spoilers, really, please.
Yeah.
No, I did notice the difference in the opening credits a little bit. But you know, I'm confused with the whole mirror universe thing, guys. You guys got to give me a little bit of time to catch up with this, because what was difficult for me to conceive was Georgiou has been having dreams about killing this person who we now just found out is Michael, right? Is that accurate so far? I thought Georgiou was disturbed by these images. She was having these relapse memories of something tragic that happened to her. She was walking up to a dead body, right?
Yeah.
And those were the dreams that were terrorizing her, that, you know, made her be under evaluation, right?
Yeah.
So those dreams were of I believe, and I may be wrong, so people maybe correct me, but were they of her killing Michael in the mirror universe? And if so, how would she have a dream of something that didn't happen yet until she walked through the porthole?
Well, technically, it happened 900 years ago.
Okay.
From her
I think the glasses guy said that your molecules or something. The glasses guy mentioned something about this needing to go back and like be in your time.
Right.
And that's what was happening to Georgiou and her face and whatnot.
Yeah, because he was saying like that having two things screwing up your molecules is too much for people to handle. Like either go back in time or go to a different universe. But going back in time and going to a different universe, that's when it gets a little too wild for humans to take. And aliens, apparently, whatever that was. What was that one? Lieutenant Commander Yor, I forgot what kind of alien he was. Anyway.
Yeah, no, so what I basically was saying, because I thought that the Guardian of Forever, at some point when he told Georgiou, your objective was to be weighed. We were weighing you, right? And then she says, well, I still killed Michael. So I guess she had killed Michael in another version of the alternate universe that 900 years ago. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said something like, "Yeah, but it was a different way, or you tried, or something like that." And she said, "Yeah, but the result was still the same."
Right.
So I guess that's why she was really just, when she put Michael in the agonizer booth instead of killing her, is because she's doing everything in her power to not kill her, and the result was still the same, that she did end up killing her. At least there was some cool fight scenes there, right?
Yeah, there was some cool fight scenes. I liked when Michael told Tilly to run, or Killy, run now, bitch. I like that little second of moment. And I actually really like Mary Weissman. I want to say again, I think she's pretty natural. She doesn't look like she forces anything in any version of herself that she plays. I think was good.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. That was nice.
I also have to give a fond farewell to Rekha Sharma, who played Commander Landry. She's just destined to die in. I think we've seen her character die 3 times already. She just keeps dying. This poor thing. It's too bad. I really like her and I like her character, but oh well. We knew it couldn't last forever. It was cool though when there were 2 factions forming. What do you guys think of when Michael returns to Georgiou and starts tossing the comm badges? I thought that was really well shot. Like, when she tosses it and she says, that's Landry, and she says, that's Bryce, I don't know if you remember that, but I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And I like that. I liked when she said, is that all of them? And then, she looks over at Detmer like, no, I got one more for you.
When she said that, I was like, ooh. Don't stand so close.
Yeah, you got to watch your back. There were a couple of lines here that I thought were pretty good. One was when Georgiou said Kelpian flesh is high in cholesterol and stringy.
Yeah, and it's stringy.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that line. It's kind of, it's interesting. But there were a few other things, like wardrobe-wise, that I also wanted to make a note of. I thought Georgiou's outfits were kind of like she was wearing one gold embroidered outfit when she was talking with Cirroc, and it was just really elaborate dress that I thought was just fantastic. Looked great on her. And actually, when they were giving her farewells, and the crew were, all toasting to her, one of the toasts was to how fashionable she was and how good she looked in clothes, right? So that is true. Georgiou can rock an outfit. You got to give her that.
Yeah, shout out to Gersha Phillips, the costume designer.
Mm-hmm.
She's really done a really good job.
Right.
Those Mirror Universe costumes, you're like, oh, I could wear it to the grocery store.
You see Culber's one there was kind of like a deep like burgundy red or like a blood red uniform. Oh, it looked great.
Yeah, it did look good. I have to say, that whole mirror universe is like, they're all dressed like they're ready to be in a Michael Jackson video. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Something, you know what I mean? They all look like they're ready for Michael Jackson to start marching and going one of these, boom.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You know the video. I forgot what it was, but they all look like they came out of that video. And I'm like, these guys are badass with the gold and black.
Rhythm Nation, maybe?
No, it was a Michael Jackson song. It was Rhythm Nation, I think, was Janet.
Yeah. But she did a lot of that stuff too.
There's a Michael one where he's like he's got a whole bunch of soldiers behind him and he's just walking and
I can picture it. Yeah,
I can picture it too. And he
did right now the chat pack in the comment section is blowing up with like 8 people are saying what it is right now. We're like, is it
Michael Jackson?
Tito?
They don't care about us. I'm like,
yeah. But that's how they look, man. And I really love the outfits. Also want to give a little bit of a highlight and shout out, Ryan, if you can look this one up for me, because I know you got the info. The written by credits were to a gentleman by the name of Bo Yeon.
Oh, Bo Yeon Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually a friend of Aaron's too. Aaron wanted to get him on the show. Oh wait, no, wait. Am I thinking of the right one?
Well, the thing that I want to highlight is the fact that this episode's written by an Asian person, and I think that we always talk about people not being having a huge representation demographically. We talk about Black people, we talk about women, and I think it should be noted that Asians as well have that same kind of barrier to break through. And
actually, I think Bo Yeon was a lady. Let me check and make sure, because this was the one that Aaron was always talking about getting on the show. Her and one other person whose name escapes me right now. Let me check. Yeah, lady. And I don't know what her credits are. I can check, but she came by the table like at Star Trek Las Vegas. And anyway, there was her and there was one other person that he was from Discovery, from the Discovery writers team, that he wanted to get on the show. And it's really too bad we never got them. Would have been awesome. Yeah, she's also written short treks, not too much. A show called Rain, right? We know that show. 17 episodes of that as well. Anyway, what were you saying?
I just wanted to give her props for being, in the demographic of people representing, on behalf of, I'm assuming that she's Asian American, but it's, representing on behalf of Asian Americans who are not well represented in Hollywood or in the industry. So I think that she's had a battle to overcome different obstacles in her way, and I just wanted to make sure that she got the props that she deserved for getting her episode out there and being good at what she does.
Yeah. And super nice by all accounts. I mean, if Aaron liked her, then she was a good person. Just wish I remembered who the other person was. There's another member of the writing team as well. There are 2 of them.
Yeah, but I just saw the name and it just stuck out to me because I said, "Wow, it's not a usual thing, when you see that." So I just wanted to give the props out. It's not just being diverse in front of the camera, because one of the things DS9 was known for was its diversity, and I just want to say that diversity extends not just in front of the camera, but also behind the camera to the lighting, all the grips, the props department, the sound, the producers and the writers. So the fact that they're actually representing that kind of diversity on this show is should be commended.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I'm looking up the director right now, and the director is not on IMDb yet, as in they don't have the credit. But I believe it's Chloe Domont.
Yes, I think so.
That's not one I'd heard of before. We'll have to look her up sometime. But good for her.
So we have female director, female written by, story by. So that's we like to celebrate people's achievements. The other thing I thought was interesting was, I always pick up these words that they use, and so we had the Genghis Khan reference, and just for our audience out there, so that they kind of have a reference, Genghis Khan lived about roughly 800 years ago. So we're actually in the 800th year of the celebration of his reign. That only became relevant to me when I read about it in an article that was talking about a certain celestial alignment that only happens every 800 years, which we are experiencing now, I think, with Jupiter and Saturn. And they said the last time that it happened was when Genghis Khan was
really?
was running ruler of the earth at one point. So so I thought that was just an interesting thing, timing wise, for the writers to kind of anticipate. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the word vicar. They said that Lorca was using that.
Yeah, see, I always thought that word was a religious word, like a religious figure, like a bishop or something like that.
Yeah, same.
But then they said it was, what did they use it as? They said it was something different.
I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but it didn't have a religious connotation when they said it. When they said something like it means assistant or whatever it was. I don't remember what they said exactly, but it certainly wasn't religious.
But it does have a religious connotation, and as a matter of fact, the Pope, any Pope, is part of the Pope's title is Vicar of Christ. So it's currently used today.
Interesting. That's they said the word substitute. I think that was the word that they used, was substitute.
Substitute, right?
And I just looked it up, and it says a deputy or substitute, anyone acting in the person of. So a vicar in a religious thing would probably be somebody that's acting as God or Christ or whatever like that, or in substitute of them, saying, I think God would say, if you give us $20, you'll be forgiven. That's what as acting substitute for baby Jesus, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd take it $20. But I just thought it was interesting that they used that word because, once again, I just like to get inside as much as we can because they give us insight into their minds when they're making these things. All of the details matter. All of the words matter. And vicar is one of those things. Obviously, the first time I heard about it and it's been referenced is in relation to the Pope. So I thought that was interesting. And the other thing I thought was great was, this is kind of right up your alley, JR. There was a moment when the ship went into warp, and I think Tilly was at the helm. Georgiou was on the ship, and Tilly says, you shouldn't be here, Emperor. This is a big job for an emperor. You don't need to come along." And she says, "That's all right. I want to watch." And then they engaged in warp, right? And the action shots and the way they kind of went in the ship and followed it through warp into their destination, I thought was fantastic. I don't know about you guys, but
I actually applaud it. Visually, I thought that was quite stunning. And then that's when you start paying attention to directors, is how they tell the story visually, even in that little nuance. Because we quite literally never saw that before.
Never saw that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you paid attention to that because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, how come I've never seen them actually going from standstill or whatever, like, the close up on the ship and then traveling And I don't think we've seen it like that. And then slowing up once you get to the destination and revealing the planets and the ship that they went to go see. But I thought that was a spectacular visual.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Now,
Ryan,
how come I don't remember it?
Oh,
I know. How long did this last? Was this like a 2-second shot that I just looked away from?
Probably.
It was like probably about 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
When was this specifically?
It was the moment when Georgiou was going to look for Duggan.
Duggan.
On Risa, which I thought it was interesting because they went to Risa, which has been used in the past. As a matter of fact, I think I made a reference of it on Siddig's Sid City show. We talked about Risa. So I thought it was interesting that they went to Risa in this episode. But so when they were looking for Duggan in Risa, Georgiou was on the ship with Tilly and the crew. And Tilly says, "Well, I don't think you should come along. This is like a small thing for you. Me and Michael."
Yeah, I remember all this. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they said no. And then Tilly says, "Captain Tilly, take us to warp speed." And she engages them into warp. And that's when the clip comes in. Am I right? JR?
Correct.
Was it an exterior shot of the ship?
Yes.
I think that's where we're getting at. Is it was like a mesh. When the camera, I don't know the technical terms, but you go from, it pans around to you're in the back. You're seeing the backs of everyone. And then I think through the view screen, you go to warp, and then the camera goes through it, and then you come back around again. I'm not doing it justice. I have it on my screen here. I was trying to find it. It is quite brilliant.
All right, I'll go back and watch it.
You got to go back.
Well, it sounds great.
Visually,
sounds good.
Yeah. It makes you feel like, it makes you feel like you're actually traveling with them at that moment.
Nice.
And you also feel the effects of how quick warp works. For me, I felt the quickness of warp for some reason, which I never really experienced.
Well, I guess you've never been on Space Mountain at Disneyland then, Cirroc. Because you go to warp on that one. So
yeah, you do. You do. I've been on that. That's one of my favorite rides. I have to give you that.
Totally.
But look that up again, and everybody in the chat too. Let us know what you think about that scene, if that stood out to you or not. But I knew that for me, I felt like I had never seen that before on any other show. And like JR is talking about, it was a director's choice. It was bringing the camera behind. I don't know, this whatever he did, it worked for me.
Yep, that's totally a director right there, and that was Chloe Dumont.
Yes.
Interesting.
Unbelievable.
So it's also interesting to see how the characters are different in the Mirror Universe. Most notably, Ariam. Now, Ariam, if you'll recall, Cirroc was the character, kind of like the cyborg character that died in the second season. But in the Mirror Universe, she's not a cyborg. So that tells us what she is. It turns out that means Ariam is a human that became a cyborg for some reason. Because we know in the Mirror Universe, whatever happened to her didn't happen. So she's just a regular human that walks around and kills people like everybody else in the Mirror Universe. So that was cool. And everybody kind of had like their own dark makeover, they got their hair darkened or chopped or like severe, haircuts. And, that just makes me think that they must have shot these two episodes last, because they had to change everybody's hairdos. And, you obviously can't change it that extreme and then go back, getting blonde hair and then dyeing it dark and then bringing it back to blonde, so they probably just shot all the Mirror Universe stuff last, especially Michael, Sonequa's hair, they got rid of all of it and they made it right back to how it was in season 1, or maybe they shot the Mirror Universe stuff first. but I think they probably shot it last. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't notice that much of a drastic change that I think that they couldn't pull off in the course of filming. I didn't see that much drasticness. I mean, I've seen people go from bald caps to, full heads of hair. So they can really pull off a lot with the makeup and hair department. But I do see differences in personality. And that's what I was trying to commend Tilly for, because I think she's so subtle, and even her changing from her regular character to the mirror universe version of herself. She's not really trying too hard, and I think that makes it effective. She had a moment there with Michael when she said to her, when she put her in the agonizer, she was like, "We'll try again tomorrow, right? Is that all right if you sleep in there? You'll be all right sleeping in there, right?" The way she did it was like so nice, because it was so cruel but soft at the same time.
It gave me a little bit of goosebumps. I'm thinking that'd be one heck of a way to wake up in the morning.
Oh man,
Pain.
agonizing.
Well, she also woke up to some fireflies. That was nice.
No.
She woke up and there were
nice.
little fireflies buzzing around, and she's like, "Oh, see, the agonizer booth is pretty nice. It's got a pretty bad name. It should be called the the whatever booth. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad,
Yeah, I do not want to be in one of them booths. I got claustrophobia, and I have a very low tolerance for pain.
Mm-hmm.
So no, thank you.
Speaking of Mary's performance, I do like that Georgiou was affected by, I guess, the Prime universe. So when she gets to the mirror universe, she's changed. She's not so one-dimensional. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Prime universe changed her. And then now when she was in the Prime universe, she was always like, "Oh, I want to go back to my universe." And she goes back to her universe and she's like, "Actually, I don't know if I identify with these people anymore. They're kind of jerks."
Right. It smells funny here.
Yeah. It smells like Kelpian thigh.
It's all high cholesterol here.
Yeah.
But we also know now why Georgiou was so tough in the Prime universe, right? She was such a badass, such a hard person, and now we know, because she was carrying the role and responsibility that she has in this mirror universe. Because I think Michael kept saying, "You're weak. You're weak. You don't deserve to be the boss anymore because you're weak now, and you're soft." And so she has grown up in a life where she can't be soft, where she has to be this cutthroat, really tough character. And that's the universe that she knows, right? So when she goes to the Prime, she's just such an asshole for no reason. But now we see there is a reason for it, at least.
Right. Yes. And I think some people might have mentioned that it seemed forced. Georgiou's meanness was forced, but that's the life she lived. You had to be tough, or someone was going to cut you somewhere.
So, yeah. Plus, she's used to being in this position of power, right? Everybody's like, "Emperor, what do we do?" And so when she walks around, that's why she kind of felt like there was nobody she had to answer to on Discovery, because she's like, "I don't answer to you peons. You guys work for me," And so now I see it better. Now it plays better for me in hindsight to say, "Oh, okay, Georgiou is like that because of this, because this is her reality."
Yeah.
It helped me kind of understand her better.
Yeah, I liked that episode for that reason too. If you notice, the people bowed when she walked by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a nice little detail.
Uh-oh. Here it comes. Nitpick, ladies and gentlemen.
Engage.
Here comes the nitpick. If every single Mirror Universe episode we've ever seen has everybody killing everybody, how is the Terran Empire in charge of the galaxy? They should all be dead.
All right. There you have it, folks.
I can't be the only one that's ever wondered about that. Like every episode we've ever seen, they're always killing each other. Everybody, they go, oh, insubordination, death. Oh, I'm a lieutenant that wants to be a commander. Kill the commander. Oh, I want to be a captain. Kill. How do they have any officers left? There would be like one person who's a captain and has no officers because he or she killed his way to the top. That's it.
One captain and 6 coffins.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, and a cook. And that cook's going like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. I'm going to be the captain.
I don't want to be sous chef anymore.
Yeah.
Or you could have those little AI robots that they have.
The Wallies, yeah.
The Wallies. Just have a bunch of Wallies, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want to talk to people. I'll deal with these little robot guys.
Can we talk about engineering? That's another thing I noticed. There's no structure in engineering. They just, so they've got a teenager that's coming in and out, doing as she pleases. Sorry, doing as they please. We know that now. And you've got, what really set me off was when Jet Reno walks in with the black licorice, by the way. Chat pack, everybody in the comments. Black licorice, yay or nay? I'm going to guess
Nay.
JR's a nay.
No.
Yeah, because you made a face that tipped your hand. You're like,
Sorry.
I'm a big yay on the black licorice.
Well, I know what you're getting for Christmas.
Yep. Oh, I got plenty. I'm French, and I love the black licorice, and I love the French stuff. It makes the whole room stink. I'm like,
oh God.
the French
word black licorice gets my stomach queasy just talking about it.
The French stuff is so potent. They don't even bother with like sugar. Okay, it is like super concentrated, super intense little pieces of tar. And you put it in your mouth, and everything is just black. It's like you just drank squid ink. And it's so good.
Man.
Like the
Ryan's
best one is
doing this to us.
The best one is called Zon, right? Zan, Zon, and it comes in either like, oh hey kitty, and then there's also cashews. Cashew is like they're tiny little black pieces. Anyway, I've got a bunch of that stuff. So feel free to get yourself some if you want to try something out. So hopefully everybody in the comment section likes black licorice too. But now Jet Reno is right up at the top for me because we're like this.
Man.
You know?
But I have to agree with you, Ryan. I did see a level of dysfunction in engineering that makes me uncomfortable. First of all, I don't know who's in charge. There's just like, it's too many chefs in the kitchen. Adira's the genius.
Stamets is in charge.
And I know that. I'm just
officially.
Saying right. So Stamets like the boss, but he's supposed to be the smartest guy. But yet this kid Adira is much smarter than he is. So, but yet Adira is not that smart because even Adira can't figure out the problem that Book was able to figure out, right?
Well, Adira is young and inexperienced, so there can be a built-in excuse there.
Right, but just the fact that it's like too many chefs in the kitchen. Then Reno shows up, and I'm thinking, all right, like you guys can't figure this out. We only had O'Brien, man. That guy was wearing all that.
Yeah. Well, what I was going with that was that like when Reno comes in and Stamets says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in forever. I haven't seen you in a couple weeks or something. Where have you been?" And that made me think like, this is such a weird ship where they don't even know, like the chief engineer doesn't even know where another engineer is, doesn't know if the engineer's still working there or when the engineer's coming back. Oh, hey, there's another. Like it's so casual. it's kind of like if it's just like an art studio and people come in and out as they want, and sometimes they work on stuff, sometimes they go on vacation for a month, and sometimes they go, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, what's new? Like, it's so confusing.
You got a good point there. First season, I thought there might have been 2 chief engineers, one of the spore drive, one of the warp drive. And in this episode, as you're mentioning, like, don't you have a duty roster?
Yeah.
You haven't seen her, but you should have seen her name on a list somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't Jet on the team, or is Jet kind of like a specialist like Michael Burnham was for a while? Well, no, even Burnham was part of the team when she was a specialist in the first season.
Yeah, and Jet's excuse was, I was working on that plasma to polaric thing. Plasma, I was trying to change the thing from plasma to polaric warp core drive, or something like that. And I'm thinking, so you just often worked on that problem yourself without even giving a heads up to anybody? Hey, by the way, I'm going to change the entire engine system, and I'm thinking of it on my own, and I'll disappear. The other thing that bothers me too is I agree with what you're saying, Ryan, because of the fact that they are literally 1,000 years away from their time and place. And you would think that they would be bonded in this ship that they have together, that they would, basically we're all we got, right? We don't know anybody. So it would be weird for somebody to disappear and not be around for a while, right?
Well, and Stamets didn't even check on her. Stamets was like, oh yeah, I forgot you existed. He wasn't just, he didn't go like, hey, where's Jet Reno? She's supposed to be here at 0800 hours working on stuff and telling me I'm stupid.
Right? That's the type of stuff that got 7 of 9 in trouble, just going off and working on stuff.
I was wondering if she's going to have kind of like the relationship that like Worf did in the Next Generation movies that we were talking about before, where it's like he was gone off on Deep Space Nine. So for every new Next Generation movie, they had to come up with a new excuse as to why he's here. Oh, he just happens to be in the neighborhood because he was going to check out the Nibride Alliance or whatever, Maybe they'll do that with Jet Reno. They'll be like, oh, look, Jet's here. What's going on? It's just fresh out of black licorice. So I was coming to get more, Then we'll just have like a fun new reason why she's there.
She's kind of like the character on Lower Decks. What's that cat character?
Yeah, the crazy cat lady, right?
The doctor.
Yeah.
Ta'ana, Dr. Ta'ana.
Yeah, Jet Reno and Ta'ana are almost the same character.
Interesting. Although, Dr. Ta'ana is more high stress, high anxiety, I would say, and Jet Reno is like 0% anxiety. But other than that, they both have that very crotchety feel to them. Yeah.
Yes,
and they come in with this comic relief. Yeah, they always enter with comedy. There's no, it's always the same entryway. It's like, oh yeah, whatever.
Who is that an impression of?
That was Jet Reno right there.
Oh, okay.
That's all I got.
Thought it was Mr. Furley for a minute there.
Oh, wait till you see the Furley one. That's in the show notes.
Well, we got a couple minutes left before we have to run. Any final thoughts? I'm trying to get a picture behind me of a lot of the characters because I did like the way they all kind of had a nice change. Thought. Yeah,
Burnham has. We talk about Star Trek and families. She's got 3 moms.
Right.
3 different families that she has to navigate. And we're looking at essentially each season is a long movie, how she's dealing with that stuff. I don't think that we've even talked about the nuance of her and family. Saying goodbye to her mom, her biological mom, saying goodbye to Georgiou. And I don't know what happened with her and Amanda, but she's got all the stuff going on in her life, professionally and behind the scenes.
Yeah, you'd think it would be easier for her to say goodbye to Georgiou because she's like, whatever, I got 3 moms. You can just go. I got 2 others waiting for me.
Yeah. In a way, I guess 4 because she had 2 Georgious and seeing how their relationship bloomed. It was nice to see them try to have something together.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And as a matter of fact, in just this season alone, we've now seen her say goodbye to 2 of her mothers, right? Just within the last 10 episodes. So she has a very dysfunctional family situation.
Yes.
And actually, her whole existence is a slightly dysfunctional. Even her relationship with Book started out in a very dysfunctional type of way. So if you were going to psychoanalyze her life, you would probably say that she's suffering from all of these kinds of various, clinical things that you can put a label on that I can't. But yeah, she has a dysfunctional upbringing, and it does reflect, I think, in her emotions, because she gets so wrapped up in these, like, I don't know how many times I see her having these argument scenes or these really emotionally tear-ridden scenes where she's like, on the border of anger and tearing up. So she's got a lot on her plate to deal with psychologically.
Yeah, she's a human raised by a human Vulcan hybrid on Vulcan who had human parents. And when she comes to the starship, she's looked at as a Vulcan exchange student, not as a human. Having to deal with having emotions, but not showing your emotions, being logical. I think there's a lot going on with her. And when the final goodbye, she doesn't just say goodbye. She does the Vulcan as a human. We, as Star Trek fans, we might do this, but she's a human doing the Vulcan salute, and the human in return does the Terran salute. Right. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Cirroc, you also touched on something that has the Star Trek groups blowing up every single day in the last year. There's at least one fight going on in the Star Trek Facebook groups, and you touched on it, and that was Michael Burnham crying. And there are people that say, why is she always crying every episode? And then there are other people saying, leave her alone, it's an emotional time, and then they're just all like, rah, 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 rah. Everybody so it's just, as soon as you said that she's always kind of like on the verge of like rage or crying or something like that, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go, here comes the people are going to drop the battle lines, don't say it.
I mean, it's true, but then we see why, because of all these things that she's dealing with, right? She doesn't have like the Jake Sisko steady upbringing on a spaceship, hanging out with your best
Jake
buddy.
Sisko had to watch his mother die at like age 13. It wasn't all that steady. Pretty rough.
No, yeah, but he did have like a steady guidance and like parental guidance from his dad. So there was something steady in his life, and he ended up making DS9 his home, so he didn't have to be in this constant state of movement. You see, I don't know where Discovery is. They're in the future, they're in the past, they're on this ship, they're that, they're always on the go. So she's like kind of this vagabond type person that doesn't have any element of stability in her life, right? Even her mom wants to take off at any moment, and you can kind of see that she may even get that from her mom, whichever one you want to pick. But but the one in the Red Angel suit, who was her counsel in the trial, is the one that I would say is closest to being her mom. Sure. And I would say, and even her, like, she is a not stable person, right? She's like off here and doing that and joining this joining this secret society of women that doing this and that, and so
Kawat Malat, I think it was
the Kawat Malat, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack there for Burnham.
There's Malat, yeah.
There's a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Quat? Okay.
And there was a moment here I also thought that was great too. And I thought it was a good moment. It was when Georgiou says to Burnham, you're fit to be the captain. Like, don't discredit or discount yourself. You have the abilities.
Right.
You're capable. And, and basically go for it. I felt like she was giving her the green light to say, you should be the captain of Discovery. Did anybody else get that?
Yeah, in my notes I put Georgiou talks shit about Saru because she's like, Saru's been fine and all, but you are far greater. I was like, whoa, throwing a lot of shade to a person who can't defend himself right now.
Yeah,
I was like,
a person that should be food right now.
Yeah, she laid it on pretty thick. Who she thinks should be the captain.
I thought that really bracketed their relationship because that's probably something that Prime Georgiou would have said to her.
Mm. Well, Prime Georgiou really liked Saru too. Those were her two officers right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she might have had a little extra gleam in her eye for Michael. Seems that way.
Yeah, but I think Michael kind of needed to hear that because I feel like she is the focal point or whatever you want to call it of the show, right? Mm-hmm. There's no real doubt that the show revolves around Michael. That's right. I don't think that's in dispute. So, and in tradition of Star Trek, the captain is the focal point of a show. So by deduction, you would only deduce that Michael should be the captain of the show. Being the focal point and being pretty much the whole thing of it being revolving around. So,
right, that used to always be their formula, and they're trying something new with Discovery, which is, it seems, rather than having the main character be a captain or a commander about to be a captain, but their main character is not a captain, but we're watching that character's ascension into captaincy, it seems. Now, we also have, in Picard, Star Trek Picard, he's no longer the captain, but he's a former captain. I think they're just kind of deviating from that formula, it seems. And then you look at Lower Decks, and Mariner is the main character, and she's an ensign. So maybe that's just kind of a new thing. Well, Strange New Worlds, I think it's pretty clear that Captain Pike is going to be the main character in that one, right? So maybe that one's going to be like the much more traditional, Star Trek series, whereas the others are trying to try something new. What do you think? Do you think by the end of the series, the series is going to end with Michael Burnham becoming captain? Or do you think she's going to be a captain and then for a couple seasons or a season or two, she will be captain? It'll be about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think she will be the captain. I think Saru is going to take it upon himself because the Kelpians are no longer represented in the future that he's in. That he's going to want to be like the leader, the ambassador for the Kelpians and kind of bring the civilization back. And that he will then hand the keys to Michael at some point in the last season, whenever they anticipate that may.
Well, there's also Tilly in that running because she has suddenly gone from a second-year ensign to first officer. And in the Mirror Universe, she's a captain. So maybe she's destined to be a captain as well. Maybe not of the Discovery. Maybe they'll all have different ships or something like that. But I think they're kind of setting up like a Game of Thrones thing where it's like at the end of the series, who's going to be on top? Who's going to be in charge? But one of those three.
Discovery has had, 4 or 5 captains so far?
Yeah, they've had Georgiou. Well, Georgiou wasn't a captain of the Discovery. She was a captain of the Shenzhou, but she was a captain of the series, and Saru now, and Pike. Lorca and Pike. Yeah, that's 4 right there already.
Yeah, a lot of captains.
And Tilly was a captain in the Mirror Universe.
Will the real captain please stand up?
Right?
Yeah. Did anybody else catch how Saru kind of threw Culber in the air and like threw him up, grabbed him from the floor. And
yeah.
That was a dope scene when Cirroc comes in, guns blazing. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I liked it. He came in with the fully automatic and started busting out, and then threw Cobra like on the ceiling. Essentially, I thought that was kind of dope.
Yeah.
He thought Culber's name was too close to the culling, and he was like, "Get this." Yeah, he like triggered. He's like, anything that starts with the word "cull" is dead now.
It's funny because Cirroc looks weak actually and fragile.
Yeah.
So when he did it, I was like, damn, I didn't know he was that strong. Like it kind of took me by surprise. But he did know, and he also wielded that gun like a pro. So shout out to Mr. Doug Jones.
Well,
right?
Doug Jones is 12-year ex-Marine. No.
Oh.
Just kidding. No, I don't think. Well, maybe he is, but I don't think so. No, but he's actually.
Man.
He's actually very, very fit. He stays in like really good shape. Like he's very muscular and lean muscular, and he has to be because he's a very physical character actor. Now I don't think that means he could throw a man up on the ceiling, but Kelpians can.
Yeah, I didn't know, so I was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, okay, the Kelpians got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we better get running off here. We're running low on time. But Mr. J.R. Poole, thank you so much for everything that you do, for always being so fun and so supportive in the videos, and for joining us today. You've been great.
Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely.
Detroit in the house.
Detroit's. Do you claim Detroit or Pittsburgh more?
That is not a tough question. Hometown.
Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is Detroit? Anyway. So. Oh.
All right, guys.
All right.
We should have ended it 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, you're always just a little late on that one. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Everybody at home, please remember to like this video. Or if you didn't, just move on. No dislike buttons. Please remember to subscribe and comment in the comment section below, and go visit our Patreon page. And we'll see you again real soon. Until then, always remember the 7th rule.